Hello, and welcome to today's video. Once again, we are curling my hair and chatting. Today I thought it'd be fun to talk about something that I always loved doing as a kid and that I want to find some kind of like application for in my current life. So, when I was a kid, I've always loved writing, especially when I was younger and I had a lot of time where I could just sit down and write about whatever I wanted. And one thing that I really loved, and I would do it there was probably a couple of years, where every Sunday I would do it while I was at church, like listening to like the lessons and stuff. But I probably should have been listening, but I was like 7 or 8, so I didn't even know what was happening, to be honest. But I would basically like make up a pretend newspaper for this like imaginary world that I had. I had this city called Fayetteville that was the capital, and I was the queen. And but I essentially created this really neat world, and then just started kind of making up stories about it and things that happened. Like there was a zoo that had dragons and stuff, but the dragons would like break out quite regularly, and there were all kinds of issues with it, and just little fun things like that. Like people would get hired for like government positions and there'd be articles about it and just all kinds of stuff like that. And I know that obviously like the first thought most people would probably have is like, oh well, like have you ever looked into like journalism or something like that? And I'm like, I don't have anything against journalism, and I do think I would enjoy a career in that field, but obviously I already have a career, so I'm not really looking for a career. But also I think part of what I loved so much about making my Fayetteville news or whatever was the creativity involved in the world building. Like I loved getting to make up like my own world and essentially just be really creative with it. And I got to play around with that a little bit too. For a short period of time in my teenage years, I was a dungeon master for Dungeons and Dragons, and I loved the world building that went into that. But I don't have time for Dungeons and Dragons. As much as I desperately love it, I do not have time for it, especially as a dungeon master. It's such a time-consuming thing. Like if it's just a campaign that I could just join as a member, like I could maybe make it work like every other week or something. But ultimately, it's like just not the most realistic in my life right now. But I'm like, I need some kind of creative outlet for like that world building type stuff. And some of like the ideas that I've kind of like thought up for it would be to do some kind of series like on my social media that's essentially like about world building and like inventing a world that like my followers and stuff get to like help with the ideas for, or like when we hit certain follower amounts, like I'll do specific things, or I don't know. It's kind of just a rough idea right now, but I feel like it would be really, really fun, and it'd be a great way to like interact with all of my followers and kind of get you guys in on some of the fun. But I think like I really want to do something with it. I just don't know how to start or how to set it up, because obviously anything that I set up like that, like it's something I've been passionate about for a long time, and I want it to be sustainable. So I would have to figure out how to set it up in a way that it's sustainable, that it's going to be able to last, that it's going to be easy to keep track of, and then I'm not going to like mess up things or like accidentally do the opposite of whatever I had originally like planned for it. So I don't know. I feel like there are a lot of question marks right now, but it's absolutely something that I would love to do. And so I'm just curious like what your guys' thoughts are. I'm sure that other creators have done like similar type things, you know, world building that their followers get to interact with and kind of witness as it unfolds. And so I'm curious what you guys think, what you recommend in terms of doing that. If it's even something that my audience would be interested in. I have a really random audience because my content has like changed so much over the years. So it's like I don't even know if I currently have that kind of audience, which is totally okay. If you guys would rather just have like fashion content and videos of me talking about random stuff, like that's fantastic. Though, I mean, I guess just because that's what my audience now likes doesn't mean I can't make additional content. That's the other kind. Because like, if I start doing world building content, like, I'm absolutely still, it's going to be in addition to, like, a lot of my content that I already make. So it's like, we're still going to have all the fit checks. We're still going to have random videos of me struggling to get my hair dryer to work, which, for any of those that saw that video, it turned out that I was just pressing the reset button on the bathroom outlet wrong. So it wasn't resetting, yeah, it was weird. I thought I was pressing it all the way. Clearly I wasn't, but I got it fixed and I dried my hair yesterday and everything was okay. So that was fun. But yeah, so it's like, it's not going to take away from the content I currently have. Like occasionally, you know, I might like get to the point where like I have a world building, like a video where I'm doing my hair and talking about world building instead of, you know, other random things. But I feel like my hair videos are so random when I talk about it anyways. It probably doesn't matter too much. I at least don't think so. I don't know. That's why I'm genuinely curious to hear what you guys think. I feel like I, most of the time, am just guessing what my followers are thinking and wanting from me. And obviously, I make my content for myself primarily. Like, I am my target audience, and so ultimately, any content I create, number one, I want to be enjoying it, but I really love that I can find other people that enjoy my content too. And so I'm really fascinated to see like what you guys' opinions are on that, if that's the kind of content that, you know, the people watching these videos like, or if it's like, no, that's not my vibe. Because I know there are people out there for it, but I just don't know if those people are the people that also like my fashion, because it could really go either way. I'm sure there's some overlap, but not all of it is probably overlap. That's my guess. That's my assumption. But then again, maybe every single person that follows me is also interested in world building. That'd be really cool. That'd be really convenient. But I feel like if I get into it, it's like there's so many different places to start. But I really love making up cool names. Like Fayetteville was just something I came up with as a kid. Whenever I would DM for Dungeons and Dragons and make up worlds, it's like, you know, I'd usually my favorite way to make up like names for places, or even actually how I came up with the name Zelivir, is I'll just take like letter combinations that I like how they sound, or like words that I really like, and I'll kind of like piece them together and smush them and like mix up some letters until I like how it sounds, and then I'm like, well, cool, this is a great name. Or if I'm being lazy, I'll just be like, hey, ChatGPT, give me some ideas, take the ChatGPT ideas, put my own spin on them, and call it good. But I really like the kind of the process of just completely pulling them from my own mind. Like, I think I really love, like, I find it fun to create like that. But obviously, it's like there are a lot of resources like AI and stuff that can, you know, speed up or simplify a process. But, you know, I don't know, sometimes it's not always about speed. I feel like slow world building's okay. But yeah, so I'm like, I feel like I'd have to start out with like names. And like, I don't know if because like in the past when I've done world building, sometimes it's legitimately just like a single town or city or something. Other times it's like a country. Sometimes it's an entire planet. And I'm like, there are a lot of different ways that I could go with that if I decide to try and do like a world building series. But honestly, I'm just excited by the idea of it. I don't know if it'll be something that I'll start soon, but I'm like, it's kind of just one of those things that it's like I've always loved, and like I've kind of experimented with ideas for similar things. Like so I really love Legos. Like that's been a passion of mine for most of my life, like the last 15 years. And so one of my potential ideas was to do some kind of like Lego world building thing, where essentially I have tons of Legos. I don't really have a good place to set them all up right now, because like the majority of my Legos are still like just on shelves at my parents' house since I moved out. And then like any of my like newer stuff or unbuilt sets are all here where I'm living with my in-laws. And so I'm like, that's kind of complicated, but here's let me actually get to like the idea that I had, is essentially like I could set up like a Lego world, and like as I reach benchmarks or something, I can introduce new characters, and like there could be storylines, and I'll make up like where they live and kind of slowly like build, just starting from like maybe like one minifigure in their story up to like an entire minifigure civilization. But I also, if I do something like that, like I know that it could get really like out of control really fast, or just become something really big. So I'm like, I don't know if that's something that I should just, you know, incorporate into my current account and the content I'm making, or if that would be smarter to wait until I have time to just make an entirely new account that's specifically for that. See, it's like, it's hard to know how much to overlap things. Wow, my curls turned out really good today. That's kind of fun. I like how my hair is looking today. But yeah, so those are just some of the ideas that have kind of been running through my head. I'm curious to know what you guys think of them, or if you have any advice or recommendations. But maybe soon I'll start a world building series on here, kind of just to test it out, and we'll see where it goes. But yeah, thank you for watching today's video. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.